Business Lunch met Lindie Malan. Lindie, goeiemiddag.
Goeiemiddag.
Ek wil amper sê goeiemôre, want ek het so laat opgestaan vanmôre met die reën.
Ja, het jy geswem of geroei of het jy hiernatoe gery?
Helikopter. Alhoewel jy kon kom,
Ja,
Lindie.
dit was interessant, né? Ek moet vir jou sê die laaste 24 uur het ons weer eens gedruk om baie kreatief te raak in terme van net die gewone goed doen, né?
Absoluut, nee, absoluut so.
Maar lekker om hier te wees, dankie Christy.
Lekker, en jy het 'n gas saamgebring.
Ek het. So, super excited about chatting to André Willemse. Now, I've known André, I think, probably for the last decade. Met him soon after we arrived in Cape Town. And so André has been, I've known André. We've played golf together. And for a period of about 5 years, I was also involved in BNI. And today we're going to chat about BNI. So listeners and Christy, welcome André Willemse. He's the Executive Director of BNI, and that's Business Network Initiative. It's a global organization, but he's the Executive Director, Christy, of the Northern Region and Winelands. So welcome, André.
Thank you, Lindie. It's nice to be here.
Of course, always. So for those of our listeners that doesn't know what BNI stand and what's it about, maybe just a brief explanation, and then I'd like to just ask you where it all started for you, but maybe just for context, what is BNI?
So BNI is a business networking organization. So we focus on helping business owners grow through networking with each other. There's quite a bit of structure in it, but it's the structure that helps us be successful. And as you mentioned, it's an international organization. So we've got just over 10,000 groups internationally with the focus of doing business.
Very exciting. 10,000 groups. They call it chapters, Christy.
Wow.
So, 10,000 chapters across the world, all like-minded business owners doing business with one another. So we'll get back to BNI and how that all works. But André, so I know you started off your adult life, shall I say, as a very professional photographer, but just a brief background in terms of where your life started and how you happened to become the executive director and joining the seat with me here today.
Okay. Let's do not too long version. So I grew up in Somerset West, worked in photography, and then I went to cruise ships and worked on cruise ships for 10 years. And in 2012, Kat and I, my wife, decided to come back to South Africa, and we started our business focusing on photography. And strangely enough, I had a friend who was helping me out with some challenges on a drone we bought in Germany, and he mentioned BNI to me, and he was like, "Oh, that's a great space to promote your business, and you can get some clients through there." And I went the next day, Googled it, visited a chapter, and the next day I joined as a member. And then 4 years in, I actually had the opportunity to buy the franchise for Winelands. And it was a strange one. Some of my friends were like, "What are you getting yourself into?" And I was like, "But I love what BNI offers. I love what I do in it. And I really see potential to get involved and actually make an impact in people's lives." And then just after COVID, it was the year just before COVID happened, I spoke to a colleague of mine in Poland when we were at the global convention, and then she mentioned she was selling her franchise, and then I bought the northern suburbs of Cape Town. So today I sit here with two big areas and focus to help business owners grow and to thrive in business.
Oh, wow. Okay, you see how wonderful life seems. And then, it looks like an overnight success, but it took a couple of years to grow the business, right?
Yeah, it was that, like, I think often people kind of go like, "Oh, overnight success," but they don't realize the groundwork that was done before that. When I bought the BNI Winelands region, we had one chapter. There was one group, 25, 26 members. And today the Winelands region's got 6 chapters. We've got 130 members at the moment and growing. And statistically, the Winelands region passes the highest amount of business per member in South Africa of all the BNI chapters there is.
So just repeat that again. According to the statistics that you guys keep, in the Winelands, you say the highest level or number of business is being referred between the members in the various chapters.
Yeah, so it's the highest average per member. In the country.
So have you got an idea of what this is? What number are we talking about?
The last 12 months, we look. Oh, actually, I must go check again. I think it's something like $20,000 per year.
Per year?
Per person.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's significant. And this business gets passed on a referral base between the various members. So we'll get into that just now, because that's so exciting, Christy, because that means businesses out there are thriving. They're building networks. They're building relationships. And I suppose that's what it's about. But I do want to just also highlight the fact that you and Kat still have another business as well, right?
Yes. So
and
we
so just a little bit about that.
We still
What's
have
that about?
the photography and video business. Strangely enough, it started as a photography business, and then through BNI connections and referrals, we moved into video production as well. So now we have the video production business, and we do photography with that.
Wow.
Most of our business is in the video space nowadays, more than the photography side, but it's still going well. We've got another staff member that works for us and supports the business. So yeah.
So that's fantastic. When we get back, Christy, of course, like to know more and ask more for the listeners' sake around BNI and what's it about. Thanks,
Absolutely.
André.
Can't wait. Just after this, business lunch with Lindie en sy gesels vandag met André Willemse. Lindie, ek kan nie wag om te hoor wat jy nog te vra het en wat hy alles te sê het nie.
So, André, you briefly mentioned BNI is a business network organization. We do know it's now global and it's local. In Somerset West alone, 6 chapters, over 130 members between these chapters, right? But you also mentioned the fact that it's a very structured organization. So please tell us a little bit more about what does that structure mean? So what can I expect when I put up my hand and I say I want to visit a chapter?
So one of the key things with BNI, and I think this kind of comes back to when Ivan Meisner founded it. When he founded BNI, he went to a lot of networking events. And a lot of networking events was a bunch of people getting together, talking, chatting, but there was no structure around it. So that the focus on many occasions becomes more social element than a business element. So what's been developed in BNI is we have a 20-point agenda. The meeting runs in a very structured way. So there's space for each member to present their business. There's a keynote presentation at every meeting. And the structure is kind of what helps to keep us on track with business. So it doesn't become how was the weekend? What did you do at golf course?
Everything but business, right?
So the structure is what helps us to stick within the business, within business. The other element to that is because we track everything. So we track your activity, we track how many referrals you pass. There's tracking systems for whether you're doing training and workshops and stuff like that. It gives us the ability it gives us the business owner the ability to kind of go, okay, so am I using all the tools available? Am I using it effectively? And because we track the amount of business passed or generated, we can see, okay, are we getting the results we're getting? And I think that's one of the key elements. And then, okay, so accountability comes in, and it's that word that a lot of people don't like, but, in a BNI chapter, you become friends with the people in the group. And while it's our greatest asset, we become friends, it's also the one thing that brings the most challenges, because friends don't like holding friends accountable. And because we have accountability now, there's an expectation. If I say, okay, I'm going to give you that referral, you can hold me accountable for that. Or I can hold you accountable for, did you follow up on that referral? Was it just a lead, or did you chuck the business card in your bag and forget about it?
Yeah. But it does mean that this is a professional organization. And I think, André, it stands with reason that professional people like doing business with professional people. So it's just raising the bar in terms of how we collaborate, how we network, and it puts structure to all of that. So it supports that, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the structure is what supports us to maintain the professionalism to it as well.
Yeah.
And I think also one of the things we need to remember is none of us are natural networkers. We don't learn this at school. There's no courses in university.
It's a skill. It's an art, right?
It's a skill that you have to develop.
Yeah.
And with 38 years in business, BNI has training and workshops, and we have a lot of skill sets or skills we can pass on to our members. So we teach our members how to use the tools available. We have templates for things. So, for like when I started my first BNI meeting, I had to talk about my business for 30 seconds. I think I broke out in a cold sweat. I was freaking out completely.
Yes.
Because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to put it together or what do I need to do. And in my time as an executive director, we've spent a lot of time chiseling that out into a format where I can give you a template. And even for the really introverted, shy people, if you follow the template, you're going to nail it and you're going to do really well at this. And it makes it easier to do it as well.
Yeah, and what I do like is the leg of development. That's it's part of the culture at BNI. Everyone gets the opportunity to develop themselves, their skills, develop their business, develop relationships. So a big emphasis on growth.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's one of the hidden benefits.
Absolutely.
Like you grow, you learn, you develop.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, even in my business journey back in South Africa, since we've come back from ships, I've learned a lot about not just what I do in my industry. I've learned a lot about business. I've learned a lot about public speaking, training people, even just simple things like looking at what are we asking for in business or what do we want in business.
Yeah.
It's one of those great things.
It's the building blocks of marketing yourself, right?
Yeah.
And putting yourself out there. There's so many thoughts that go through my mind, but the one thing that I do want to just say, I remember Jim Rohn saying that 5 years from now, you'll be the person dependent on what you read and who you meet, the people you associate with. And I think that's, if you find yourself amongst professional people, living up to a certain professional standard, then how else but to thrive and grow, right?
Definitely.
And I think the growth that you meant, is it also true that you actually have a BNI university where a lot of the IP, intellectual property, is presented in training courses and videos and things one can watch and listen to?
Yeah, so BNI is quite big on innovation. So I remember when I joined BNI, when you wanted information about anything, you had to go search through different podcast formats
or the Google,
and places.
Google.
And you had to do a lot of work to get to some of the resources. And now we have everything in one place. So we have presentations done by directors from all around the world that are great in certain subjects or areas. That's all recorded and saved on the system. So you have access to it from there as well.
So it's BNI University, right? Christy, when we come back, I'd also like to touch on some opportunities available to BNI members. I think you mentioned seminars or conferences coming up. And then, of course, what's your hope for business in the Helderberg area? Everyone seemingly under pressure, yet BNI is growing. So we'll come back and chat a little bit about the future of BNI.
As so 35 minute voor 1:00 ons nog besig met Business Lunch with Lindie Malan, selfs met André Willemse, nog so 'n paar vrae wat sy het om te vra. Lindie, please continue.
So we were chatting about, again, the structure of BNI and how every chapter gets put together. So maybe just a little bit about that. Say, for instance, I've got a plumbing business. Would I be brushing shoulders with some other plumbers in the chapter? How does it work?
So the reason we have more than one chapter is because we allow space for different professions to get involved, right? But in each group or in each chapter, we only allow one person in a professional classification. So some industries are subdivided a bit. So lawyers, we generally have more than one attorney because they specialize in different fields.
Like commercial,
so commercial or litigation or
family law or whatever.
Yeah. But the idea behind it is, if you're a plumber, we don't want to put you in a room with another plumber because now you're competing with each other for the same business. But the other element to that also is members then don't know who to refer the work to. And what typically happens is, if you're in a situation and you've got two friends who do the same thing,
you're going to favor your mate, of course, right?
See, if you have two friends who do the same thing,
now it's a conundrum.
Don't refer anyone because you don't want to be in anyone's bad books.
Yeah, you don't want to see favoriting someone.
Yeah, so we only do one person in a professional classification. There's a lot of different industries and professions involved in BNI. So, I mean, in Somerset West, one of our biggest chapters just hit 40 members. South Africa's got chapters in the mid-50s. Globally, interestingly enough, the biggest chapter in the world is on 208 members at the moment.
Oh my good Lord. 200
and 8 members. at
8
the moment,
members in a chapter.
Yeah.
I can imagine that you need structure for
yeah,
that.
yeah, very structured. They actually get to the point really quickly, so you don't have too much faffing going around.
So, André, does BNI fit businesses from all industries, first of all? And second of all, what about the size of businesses? So bigger businesses. Where does BNI fit into all of that?
So in South Africa, we found that most businesses that get involved in BNI are on the SME range. We have a couple of there are a few bigger businesses involved in BNI in South Africa. On a global level, we have quite a number of big corporations involved in chapters as well. I think it's one of those things in South Africa. Our market is very focused around small and medium enterprise. There's a lot of businesses that operate in that space. One thing we always have to remember, and I've come across this a few times, where potential members or people who come to visit, they're like, I only deal with corporates. There's no corporates here, so it's not going to work for me. But what we must remember, and the thing with networking, is you gain access to other people's networks. And you don't know who the other person
you don't know
in the
who
room
knows
does
who,
business
right?
with. Yeah. I mean, a strange one. I always make this joke, and I said, if I develop a relationship with one person, I can get access to Richard Branson, because Ivan Meisner is great friends with Richard Branson.
Yeah,
it's going to take me a bit of work to get to him, but I
and some influencing.
But there's access to it.
Well, there we go.
And that's where the magic of networking really comes together.
So networking, definitely a very good marketing strategy. I mean, we've spoken about the benefits. It is true that business owners find themselves under a lot of pressure locally for various reasons. We don't need to go into that. So, but despite that, you tell me that you've seen some growth. So now I'm going, oh, how does that work? So was that your experience of late?
The bigger element with this is about trust. And if you associate yourself in a room full of people who are like-minded, they're focused on helping each other grow, and we trust each other, we can generate business from there. There are business opportunities everywhere. It's just a lot harder to get to them now than it was 3 years ago. I mean, if I look at last year, the 16 chapters that I managed, we did 135 million rands worth of business.
135 million rands of business between the
16 chapters.
16 chapters.
And it's about 330 members.
Okay.
The year before, we did 113. So there is growth happening.
There is growth happening now. And I think, again, in business, we've just got to work a little bit smarter. We need to be out there marketing ourselves, and where else but just be part of a trusted group. So, André, what is your hope and dreams? How big do you want to grow this? Where are you going? What's your mission in all of this? Well,
the sky's the limit, really, Lindie. So, this is not something I've put out in a big public forum yet, but for my regional area, we've put in a mission that's called Mission 1000. And we want to impact or help 1,000 businesses thrive in the next 3 years. Through our membership, getting people to help grow their businesses on an exponential level. And a lot of the training and stuff we do is focused around, let's not just focus on surviving. Let's focus on thriving in business. Because we just need to ask the right questions and partner with the right people.
Exactly. That is such an amazing, wonderful, inspiring mission. And I mean, I'm sure that keeps you awake. André, I wish you the absolute very best. And, we often say it's a lonely space out there, Christy. You find yourself sometimes so feeling isolated. So you don't have to feel like that as a business owner. You've just got to reach out and get in touch with a local chapter and go and visit nonetheless, get to see what it's all about. So André, for people that wants to know more and wants to visit a chapter, where do they even start? How can they get hold of you?
So easy way, just pop me an email. It's andre@bni.co.za, or visit our website, bnictn.co.za. That's going to be the easiest ways, because then I can direct or introduce you to someone on the team, and I can manage the process from there. That's going to be the
easy as
simplest
that.
way to do it. Yeah.
And I do know the website has got all the regions, all the chapters on there, even their meeting times, where they meet. I do know there's some virtual chapters and hybrid chapters, so everything exciting, but it's all about growth. André, it's been such a pleasure. We do need to go and play golf again, though.
Definitely, yeah.
But yeah, good luck with this amazing mission of yours. And yeah, you know, you inspire me, and I'm so grateful because it just means that business owners, there's hope. Lots
of hope. We just need to take the first step and move towards it.
Of course. Thank you so much for visiting today, and hope you, God bless you and BNI and the future going forward.
Ja, lekker om julle hier te gehad het, André en vir Lindie, maar ek kan nie dink op die golfbaan. Kyk, ek dink normaalweg vat dit so 2 ure vir 9 gaatjies. Ek dink as julle is 4 ure vir 18 gaatjies gemiddeld. Ek dink dit gaan so 8 ure vir julle twee wees. Julle gaan weer praat as wat daar golf gespeel word.
Ja, gewoonlik, hoor, en baie kreatiewe golf ook so tussenin, hoor.
Baie dankie julle, Lindie. Ons sien weer.
André, ja, Christie, volgende week praat ek met André Potgieter. Sy's 'n neuro life coach, en ja, ek sien baie uit om met André te gesels.
Ek sien jou dan.
Totsiens.
Dankie.